So whenever you're ready to go, just drop the top.
Let's do it.
Friend Bentley, Lego. Why they be down the boy? Tell them it's part of the plan.
Hey, thanks for coming back for another episode of Candy's World on Wheels podcast. Today we have a longtime friend of mine in the motorcycle industry, Geoff May. I've known Geoff for a long time, probably since before he was legal to drink.
I think it was way before I was legal to drink.
Probably.
I think you've known me since I probably was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I want to say way back when.
Yeah.
Probably about the time I had a CR80, if I can remember correct.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's even getting hard to remember. It was so long ago.
Oh, the memories, they all blur together. So, but how did you get into motorcycling? Your dad, Dave. Happy birthday, Dave, by the way.
Coming up.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Big 8'5".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of how, obviously, usually it's your dad that gets you into it. But no, it was actually my cousin. I remember I want to say I was about 4 years old, and my cousin was 1 year older, and he got a Z50, like almost identical to the one you got downstairs. Yeah. And I was like, I want one. And my dad was like, you want a bike? You want a motorcycle? I'm like, yeah, I want a motorcycle too. And so, yeah, I think I got a PW50. And I can't remember the name of the dealership. It used to be over here.
Motions.
It was Motions, yeah. PW50 from Motions. And I was 4 years old, and that kind of just, I was hooked instantly.
Yeah.
And luckily I had a place to ride. So my cousin, they lived up kind of what is now Milton, Alpharetta area. It used to be all farmland. And so, man, we'd just ride all weekend, tank after tank of gas, and just ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really that's what kicked it off, the love for two wheels.
Yeah, that is the common story that we love to hear, people riding when they're younger. And yeah, the decimation of farmland and places to ride, unfortunately, kind of tapers off the ability for kids to start riding. But hopefully they'll go out to the parks, Highland Park, Durham Town, places like that, and learn to ride out there.
Yeah, it's such a commitment.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing we all deal with nowadays is time, right? Like everything moves so fast that, you have to plan that, and you got to load up, and you got to go, and it's a whole day. You're not getting a half day.
No,
riding.
Not unless
like
you just live right over there by them. It's weird. It is funny how time goes so fast. And if I look at everything that we did with my family when I was a kid, like everybody went to the grocery store on Saturdays, and like the lines were down the aisles, and like that was your only option, and then we'd go to our grandparents and we'd do this and we'd do that. And I think about the stuff we would do in like one day or the weekend, because then also typically it's like all the household chores and all the stuff gets just done over that weekend. And everybody mostly went to church on Sundays too. It's like, I don't understand why we can't get those things done in a broader period of time. And we always feel like we never have time. It's like time is just, has definitely sped up. And I don't know if that's like, just as you get older and have, more stuff, responsibilities, or kids definitely put you in a time warp.
I think it's the digital age we're living in, I wish we could uninvent the iPhone.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons. I mean, I think it's
the smartphone. Yeah. The
smartphone. Yeah. Because we're bombarded with so much information. Therefore, we're, with work expected to do that much more. Right.
Yeah.
And there's just, I don't think the human brain was meant to have this much stimulus or things you're ingesting in a day. I mean, think about in the past, if you needed an answer for something, you had to pick up the phone, make a phone call. If they're not there, leave a message. There's no texting, right? There was no email. Then you had to wait, So the amount of productivity you could have in a given week was so low compared to what it is now. And now we're used to it, and we're so busy. Yeah. There's 8 million things going on.
I remember when email first became something that was done outside of a business, like people first started sending emails, and you got so irritated at this guy for emailing you parts requests. And you're like, just call me. This is stupid. I have to look this up, and then I have to type all this to you, and then I have to wait for you to look at it, and just call me.
It's so much more complicated.
Now I'm like, damn, dude, just email me. For me, it's like, that's easier. It's like, I'll get back to you in a minute. But no, it's just so funny how things have just, it seems like it's just changed so much in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, I try to distill that in my kid, trying to ride, take the time to slow down, be, purposeful and meaningful in what you're doing. Like, think about it. And you have to, I've been trying to eliminate a lot of things in my life just so I have more time for my family or for myself, you know, to train, to work out, or to do the things I like to do. They take planning and they take time, but you have to make it a point, or else it's one of those things that you forget about. Time flies by, and next thing you know, another year's gone by and you didn't do what you planned to do.
Yeah. A lot of people suffer from not having enough time for themselves. And that is something that I'm learning. You can't be good for other people if you're not good for yourself. And putting others first is great. But if you're not healthy, you can't be good for them in the long haul. And definitely people have heavy duty expectations of their partners, husbands, wives, family members, and whatever. And kind of has to have a balance of everything. You need your time. She needs her time. Y'all need your time, family time. And it's hard to slice all that out, because I think most people who are, if you're not a selfish person, you'll always put yourself to the back burner. Your kid's always going to come first to you, and your kid's always going to come first to your wife. But, having a balance of everything. And it's really good when the balance is that all of you like to do the same thing. So there's nothing cuter to me on the planet than to see a family out riding together. Yeah. Whether it's bicycles or like a family out doing that thing together and all of them liking it just as much. That is very, very, very cool. And it's, you see a lot of it when you go to the parks and stuff, but I think there should be a lot more of it.
Yeah. I think riding is, you learn so many life lessons from riding a motorcycle. There's so many things that we live in this bubble wrap world now where, right, you're insulated, you're protected. You go out there and you mess up on a dirt bike and get the crap knocked out of you. It wakes you up real fast.
Yeah, there's not a do-over button.
And you're like, oh, don't do
there
again.
Is, but
Yeah, well, you learn,
actually
right?
feel it,
you feel it, you learn. You're like, whoa, okay, that sucked. Don't do that again. Yeah. And some of the best lessons in life are learned the hard way, right? That's how you
burn
grow.
your finger. The stove's hot.
Don't touch that again.
Yeah.
So I'm loving seeing that with my son riding. Is just watching him learn. It's so cool to see someone learning something for the first time.
Well, it's very funny that you said what you said about you telling him to slow down and this and that and the other, because do you remember when you were learning to ride up in the mountains all the time on your dad's big BMW bike?
That wasn't my fault.
Just so y'all know, he was using the wrong tool for the job. And
I was having fun with it.
You were, but he was always trying to go so fast. And I told him one day, I'm like, young grasshopper, you first need to be smooth before you can be fast. And you just said pretty much like that same exact thing about your son. So I think that's kind of funny, but it's true. You need to learn to be smooth in your executions and really learn so much before you can really ramp up on your speed and stuff. Yeah. Which you did very well.
That was an interesting crash. It's a good life lesson, or for anyone riding on the street. I think we were up there maybe in early spring where they still sand the roads, right? Yeah. And I was with a group of 5 guys, and I was in the middle on that big BMW with dudes on R1s.
Wrong tool for the job.
Yeah, I'm on what was it, RT 1200 or something?
A whale with 2
wheels. I was
there
dragging the valve covers on the thing and full racing leathers. And
I think there's pictures somewhere.
I touched I didn't touch the paint line, but I was, looking through the corner the way you want to look through the corner, because there are 2 riders in front. You don't want to follow single file. That's dangerous. Plus you can't see through the corner to the apex. So I was the 3rd one. So I was the closest to the paint line. And there was some sand on the road, and bang, front whip, tucked the front instantaneously when it hit the sand.
Yeah.
That thing shot me off through the woods like a wiffle ball. And I went flying by an oak tree. There's like one of these massive old, probably 5 feet around oak trees. But the poor BMW went straight into it, and it just disintegrated. And another lesson, like, oh, okay, maybe we don't want to crash on the street, even though we're wearing all this gear, because there's things like trees and guardrails that will. It's like I missed that tree by probably an inch. Like I felt it as I went by it.
Yeah.
So luckily, I was able to walk away with literally not a scratch on me. But yeah, that was about the time I stopped riding on the street.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I was like, this isn't worth it. At least not for me at that point.
Yeah. And at that time, you had your eyes set on becoming a road racer?
Yeah, I think I'd already started, or I had gotten a taste. I know there was a small window of where I graduated high school in '98. I did Freddie Spencer School. I got a CBR 600, the F3, bought a van, and started racing. And then there was only that first year I rode on the street, but I had that accident and one other one where a dude ran into the back of me. And I was like, that's it. And I pretty much never rode on the street again, at least up in the mountains for fun, and just went all in on racing at that point, because it's much better to crash in a controlled environment and you just slide and get up, and the only thing that's really bruised most of the time is your ego and the motorcycle and your wallet. Yeah. So.
And you had a fair amount of success for that. So kind of walk me through it, because it has been a long time. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like I'm in a weird spot in life right now because I retired 2 years ago at Road Atlanta in 2023. I announced my retirement, which was cool because I did my first pro race at Road Atlanta back in 2000. And then 2023 retired there, so it kind of bookended it. But no, it was a wild ride. I got to say, like looking back on it, like it doesn't even make any sense, like how it all happened and what I got to. And you know, I had some good advice from people. I didn't like it at the time, but you know, guys like Billy Eisenacher and a lot of the local fast guys were like, I proved them wrong, but they're like, dude, you're gonna end up broke. You're gonna end up hurt. Like, you know, quit while you're ahead kind of thing. But I was really lucky at the timing in the industry and just in history of when I showed up on the scene, because bikes were cheap, contingency payouts were super high, and I didn't have money like other people. I worked at the motorcycle dealership, so I get parts at discount and then learn, right? There's a lot of knowledge you learn being around a motorcycle dealership. And then I would use that money to go race on the weekends, which really isn't a lot of money. But so I learned how to be really efficient with what I had and focus on not thinking I needed the best bike out there, or I need this next exhaust or this or that. Like I was able to figure out exactly what I needed to go fast. And that forced me to be a better rider. It forced me to be faster because I was always at a disadvantage, probably the first 4 years of my career of doing it. And you know, it's like racing, you know, it's cubic dollars. It's a lot of money. Usually the guys that are spending the most money or teams that are spending the most money are the ones that are at the front. So I had to bridge that gap with nothing other than skill. And,
well, skill and drive.
And drive. I really wanted it. And I guess so I'll go into that. So I started club racing in 1999, hence the reason I run number 99. And also that was my dad's number. When he raced cars, he raced sports cars and SCCA. So kind of a dual thing there. I got pretty lucky, had a pretty good first year as a novice, won some races, started getting some attention, started getting some sponsorship. Roswell Thumb Machine sponsored me that year. Going my first year expert. So 2000, they sponsored me a little bit. And then my mechanic at the time, I met Hippie. And Hippie started building my stuff, which that was a big differentiator. Like all of a sudden I'm like 1.5 seconds faster everywhere we went, just from stuff you didn't know, you know, like how to tune the carburetor and how to build a proper motor instead of
squeeze the horsepower out of it.
I squeeze the horsepower out of it, you know? And so then I went expert the next year and had a lot of success. We actually went down to Daytona and we had pole for everything because it was based on points. So I'd won a bunch of races, show up down there. I think I'm going to set this place on fire because it used to be big. Like people don't realize it. Back in the day, there'd be 70 dudes on the grid for a 600 Supersport race.
Yeah.
The meat grinder class. And we go down there, and the first race, it's raining in the chicane because Daytona's so big, it can be raining on one section and it can be sunny on the other.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the flags out, and I come barreling down into the chicane, not knowing it's raining in there, and I flicked left. As soon as I flicked the bike back right, it low-sided from the rear, which is really odd to lose the rear end first. But it was wet. It shot me straight into the wall, shattered my femur, ripped my thumb off, broke my wrist. I ended up spending, a week and a half in Daytona, getting a rod in my leg. They put my thumb back on.
At least you didn't end up with a toe for a thumb, like who was that, Randy? Was that Randy Renfro?
Randy Renfro, yeah. It looks like a toe kind of because it doesn't work. That's something that I never told anybody because I didn't want anyone to look at me like I was handicapped or be like, yeah, that dude can't ride. His thumb doesn't work because you kind of need it to grip the handlebar. And mine's straight. I have to kind of crab claw it. And then I learned how to brake with my two middle fingers instead of these two fingers. And kept that kind of a secret.
No, you adapt though.
I adapted, but that was the turning point, and I think this is true for maybe a lot of people in life in general is when I look back on things is sometimes when you think it's the worst thing in life, it can turn into, in hindsight, the best thing.
Yeah.
So what that did for me is I was off my feet. Race Champions is the last race of the year. It's October, so there's nothing. You go into the off season. So I had some time to recover, but coming back the next season, it starts at Daytona again in March. I wasn't able to make it because I was still healing and couldn't actually get my leg on the bike or bend my knee far enough to ride the bike. But what it did is, as I was laid up, I was probably bedridden for almost a month, and I thought, I should just quit. I should quit right now. Maybe these guys are right. Like, quit while I'm ahead because I could have been killed. Who knows? Like these things go through your head when you've been in a bad accident. Like how much worse it could have been, and the pain. Like breaking your femur is no fun. Like it's probably one of the most painful things I think you'd experience. I remember laying on the table and thinking, man, you could pour gasoline on me right now, light me on fire, and it wouldn't hurt anymore. Like that's how bad it hurt. And so I realized I'm like, hey, I can quit. And nobody's going to think bad of me. Like, it was a reason. It was a reason you're
for you.
You're a pussy. Like, when you gave up, no one was ever going to think that. So I had a free pass to quit racing. And I realized, I'm like, no, if I am going to race, I'm going to have to go 110%. Yeah. I'm going to have to go all out. And it's one or the other. It's in or out. And I decided to go in. And it wasn't easy coming back because you have that mental. Like the bike, I always felt, I remember the first 6 months, like I was going way faster than I was. And you look at the lap time, you're like, oh, that's it. Like,
well, your body does have its own life protection system. And when you have put it into the brink of death and you go into that same situation, your brain is like, hey, we were just in this situation and we don't want to be here again.
Tense up. But then I went, what happened, it was an amazing thing. The new Gixxer 1000 came out. They went from the GSXR 1100 to the 1000 that year.
Yeah.
It was brand new. I was working at a place with Hippie down. It's called Magic Motorsports, and we were down in Chambly. And one of the customers, he was one of these guys that like to do wheelies all over the place. These street stunner guys. He went up in the mountains. It was his first time. Low side of the bike immediately, pretty much. Kind of like my story a little bit, but I brought it into the shop and I was like, oh, that's a Gixxer 1000. Like you can buy that back from your insurance company. Like buy it back from your insurance company and I'll give you $1,000 more than what it costs. You're going to make $1,000. We're going to solve this problem right here. And so we did it. When I got on the 1000, I started winning everything.
Oh yeah.
Every race. I went to Talladega for my first race and absolutely destroyed everybody. And then I think I went to probably Savannah, and then same thing, destroyed everybody. And it was this perfect combination of I was a little too smooth on the 600. The 600 has so much grip, you have to be a little more aggressive. But the smoothness I had was just the right amount on the 1000 to get all that power out of it. Because back then there was no traction control, wheelie control. It was, just your right hand. and that was it. And I went to Road Atlanta for the GNF, and John Ulrich at the time was Road Racing World, and he sponsored me. And I was supposed to ride the Valvoline bikes. Like, that was the big thing. Like, so you got Ben Spies up there. So a lot of the big name guys, Josh Hayes, Ben Spies, Danny S., like, they all got to ride the Valvoline bike, and that kind of catapulted their career based on how they did at the, Weir GNF. Well, Walt Schaefer, the Michelin guy at the time, wouldn't let me ride the bike. He said, Geoff can't ride the bike, John. He's a Pirelli guy. That's breach of contract. He can't ride. So,
damn contract.
I was just like, oh my gosh, it's a big disappointment. So John, what he did is he's like, look, you can't ride my bike. What I'll do is I'll sponsor you through Road Racing World, put Road Racing World on your bike, and we'll give you some money to pay for entries, pay for your tires.
Yeah.
And since I'd only had those 2 weekends, I had really no points. And this was back again when there was like 60 dudes on the grid. So I remember I was gridded at Road Atlanta in turn 12. Like, that's how far back I was. It wasn't even on the straightaway. There's so many guys. I'm in
calculating that back. Yeah, that's
and I'm
a
on
good
the
distance,
hill.
yeah.
Like, I'm like on the hill, like the bike's trying to roll, and I'm like, I can't get a jump start because I'm rolling.
Yeah,
because I'm on a freaking hill. And
that's a big grid.
And I'm not the tallest guy, so my feet are like the only thing holding me back.
You need an umbrella girl to hold the bike back.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened. It was like some of those things where you just like talk about being in the zone. This first time I was probably really in the zone the first time. And I found myself on lap 3 in the lead from dead last against all these big name dudes. And I won the race. I won the championship. And I remember John Ulrich went straight over to Walt and cussed him out up and down because not only did he say I'm a Pirelli rider, he was like, that guy's never going to be anything. You can mess around with him for.
Yeah.
And John was like, oh, yeah, that dude just whacks the best people in the country from dead last.
Yeah.
And that was the year that really catapulted everything because of that decision to go all in. All in.
I think that led you to this.
I did. It led to that. I mean, that was really the start. But that's the backstory. That was 2001.
Yeah.
So that was 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2008. That's an 8 there. It looks like all zeros, but yeah.
Yeah, 2008. That's, it all kind of blends together.
Yeah.
But that led me to riding for John Ulrich in 2005 is when I landed there. It was the first year after Valvoline went away. And it became Team M4, what it's known as kind of now. And I had another scenario. I was at the Race of Champions, and he showed up with Steve Rapp and Vincent Haskovic. And he came over, and we were at Homestead. They were building the tunnel at Daytona, so they pushed it to Homestead. It was the only time it ever happened. And I had lived down there for a stint. I went and moved down there with our good friend Johnny Waters.
Yeah.
And I was in between the team and didn't know what I was going to do. So he's like, hey, move down here, dude. I'll put you to work at the parts counter. You can stay with me, get back on your feet. So my wife and I, at the time she was my fiance, we went and slept on his floor for a year and chased.
Good one, John. That was very nice of you.
Chased the Suzuki money. And then that took off. So John thought that Homestead, for some reason, was like my home track. And I had the track record at the time. I just broke it earlier in the season. But I'd only been there once. That's what he didn't know. I broke the track record only being there once. And so he comes over.
Was that just like a fluke?
No. It's just at the time I was hot. Like I'd been on this rise from 2001. I was winning everything. Yeah. Especially club racing wise. I was breaking track records and winning everything. And so anywhere I went, that was the goal, break track record. But I knew that based on what I did earlier in the year that I could go a lot faster. And so he comes over bragging. He's like, yeah, my boys beat your track record in the first session. This is like on Friday. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so? He's like, what do you mean so? I was like, I'm going to go 2.5 seconds faster. And he looked at me and he's like, whatever, dude. Walks off. By the end of the weekend, I beat it by exactly 2.5 seconds.
And what had changed from the last time you were there?
My bike was better. So the first time I was there, I was kind of on a stock bike. The last time I was there was more of a super bike. And it was the time when they used to make 16.5-inch tires. And Pirelli was really helping me out. So I had the best of the best Pirelli 16.5-inch wheels and tires, and better knowledge of the track and setup. So I was able to tweak some things to find that much more out of the bike and the racetrack.
So you've gone through an amazing change in technology in motorcycles. So when you went to the GSXR 1000, was that also the year, because I'm a generalist, not a specialist anymore, was that the year they also introduced the fuel injection? Because when they made that change, that's when the GSXRs were fast as snot, and people were like dying left and right on the highways because they were just, the fuel injection had not, I think it was one of the first bikes that had it on the street, and they were so fast because it was so sensitive.
The Gixxer 1000.
Do you remember if that was that year?
Yeah, because I believe the Gixxer 1100 was always carbureted.
I thought so too.
And when they went to the Gixxer 1000, when they created it, it was like a rocket ship, light years ahead technology compared to the 1100. It was probably 100 pounds lighter and probably had 40 more horsepower.
Yeah. I don't remember, all the specifics of that change, but I do remember the first time I got on one of those bikes from a carbureted bike. And, we get to ride all kinds of stuff, but there's those moments where something scares you and you remember it. 'Cause you're like, oh, I remember that was so much faster.
So much faster.
Yeah.
And that's what...
Night and day, like,
and that's,
snap.
Again, that's why I say I was really lucky, because the manufacturers in the 2000s were spending so much money on R&D and development on these new bikes and fuel injection and the power. And they were all trying to one-up each other so bad and spending so much money. And they were selling a ton of bikes. Mm-hmm. They were selling, the numbers I heard, they were selling over 1 million sport bikes a year in the United States.
Yeah, if you look back at the chart from the 70s until now, there was massive peaks. And it's way down now for a lot of reasons. And
then at the same time, the marketing message was win on Sunday, sell on Monday, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here I was, this guy just young, apparently raw talent, and was beating everybody. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to make a career out of it, because that's why John Orts hired me, right? Because I told him I was going to break the track record 2 days before I did it. And not only do it, I beat his guys. Yeah. And put him to shame. And those guys are salary paid riders. Yeah. And here I am working out of a van, getting dirty with my hands, doing it all myself. And he's thinking, man, well, what if I gave this guy a ride? Mm-hmm. And so, boom, I get the M4 ride. I stayed there for 3 years. And then it happened again, because while I was in M4, I was beating all the Jordan guys on a pretty consistent basis. So then Suzuki's like, it actually came to a point in 2007 where Mel Harris of Suzuki, he was top dog at the time, making all the decisions, was like, you're going to go to Jordan for 2008, and then Ben Spies is leaving in 2009 to go to World Superbike. We already know this. So you're getting Ben Spies' seat. Yeah. And anybody at the time, in the day back then, knew that if you wanted to win a Superbike championship, you had to be on a Yoshimura Suzuki. Mm-hmm. Or else you're just racing for second and third place. And so I went to Jordan, had some good success there, and then there was a shift. The 2008 housing crash happened. Right. It happened, and at the end of 2008, we didn't really realize what was happening, how fast it was happening, or what it would do to the industry. One of the saving graces was, in racing, a lot of times the deals are done in October, right, for the next season. So things still hadn't gotten as bad as they were. So things started dragging out, and I started feeling funny about it, because we're talking about Yoshimura, and then then they started kind of like what's going on here? Wait a minute, things are getting funny. Daytona Motorsports Group bought AMA Pro Racing. Mm-hmm. So now you have the NASCAR guys involved, and the Jordan guys. I was there, and we did really good. I got second in the championship. Yates won it. I think he won 5 races. I won 2 or 3, but we went 1-2 in the championship. And they really wanted to keep me. And they're like, hey, with Jordan and the way this is going with NASCAR buying the series, like, this might be a better deal. And so that's when the National Guard thing came along, and I pivoted and said, you know what? I'm done negotiating with you guys and waiting on you. I can't wait any longer. And I went with Jordan, stayed with them with a National Guard deal. Yeah. And then So that's the thing. When you look at my career, it was just a right place, right time. You know, everything kind of, all the stars aligned and lined up, and I was prepared and had everything I needed to do it. And then the bottom fell out.
Yeah.
I had a rider come along at the end of 2009. We had a pretty successful season. We had some teething pains. A new Gixxer came out, and it wasn't ready. They rushed it because of the housing crash. I did get him to admit that afterwards. It was like a not fully baked, right?
Right.
And it changed.
Well, you could finish the R&D.
And we got it mid-season. That was another weird one. And it's in 2009. We started the year on the 07-08 Gixxer, and then 2009 we got the new bike in June.
Yeah.
Mid-season. Here you go. Here's
Would
a new
you have
bike.
just been better off to stick with what you had been on?
We couldn't because we were a factory team.
Oh, yeah.
So that was part of the deal with Jordan during that era. Is I had a factory contract with Suzuki North America, not with Jordan. And Jordan was basically told, you're getting Geoff May. That's your rider. You're getting Aaron Yates. They didn't have a choice. It all changed when DMG got a hold of it. Suzuki pulled back like dramatically because they saw the sales tanking. They saw what was happening globally with the economy. And they put the brakes on everything. So I was able to extend another year with the National Guard because we had outside the industry sponsor, right? Big bucks, man. National Guard.
Our tax dollars being recirculated and repurposed.
Yeah, some of the stuff I saw was sickening, like $40,000 for a golf cart. I'm like, how can you even make that up? Like, you couldn't even build something for 40 grand. What are you talking about? It's just a golf cart.
Hey, can you know that we need to submit those bids for the next round of U.S. government golf carts? We've got some. we got some. We could sell them. Make you a deal too. Not 40 grand.
Yeah. So that and then at the end of 2009, with everything getting so weird, with Suzuki pulling all of their support from the teams, like, I mean, everything just absolutely tanked.
Yeah.
And I was left without a ride because another rider came in and said, hey, I'll ride for free. This was kind of the start of the era of guys riding for free or paying to ride. This was the start of the downfall, I feel like, of U.S. road racing, because before, the best guys got paid the most money, and they got paid the most money because they were going to win. And if you won, you're on TV. At the time, TV was the media form for advertising, and you could, Joyce Julius had the reports, and you could factor, Geoff May got an hour and a half of TV time. Well, what's that worth, right? And all that stuff changed at the end of 2009 with riders starting to be like, it was a race to the bottom, right? It's a race to the bottom. And you saw a lot of guys retire. You saw Jamie Hacking retire. You saw Matt Mladen retire. You saw Miguel Duhamel go away. And all these guys did that because specifically Jamie, I remember him saying it, he used to make like $1 million or more a year from Kawasaki. Now they're asking him to do the same job for $100,000. And he's like, I got a family. I got a house. Like, because he was older, a good bit older than me at the time. So all the older guys were like, no, like we used to make millions doing this. Why would we do the same job for pennies?
Yeah.
And then you have all these other guys still trying to stay alive or keep it alive, undercutting. All the racers started undercutting each other, or then saying, hey, I've got Red Bull in my pocket. I'll come ride for free. And so then the talent didn't matter as much anymore. And I was devastated. I thought my career was over. I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
And then again, what seemed like the worst thing turned into the best thing, because it was the first time in my career that I missed any weekends. I remember sitting at home watching, it was round 2, it was Fontana. Because I built I told you, we were talking earlier, I built a Gixxer 600 and went and did the Daytona 200 on my own as a privateer just to kind of stay relevant. I got bumped off the track on the start and came back on dead last. So I had to come from 57th and I rode all the way back up to 8th.
That's amazing.
But they didn't even show me on TV. They didn't mention my name once. Nobody even knew I was there. And here I am, like, without a ride. That was like my shot, to stay in it. So Fontana comes around, I have nothing. I watch everybody race at Fontana. I'm like, oh man, like, at the time that was my life. Like, Everything in my being was, I'm this motorcycle racer. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And I got lucky. This is another reason you don't ever burn bridges or shit on people in life, because John Ulrich got a phone call from Eric Buell looking for a great rider who's really good technically to help develop a bike. Because again, housing crash, Harley killed Buell.
Harley does those silly things over and over again.
And Eric needed a rider to resurrect the brand. He needed somebody that could give good feedback, could develop this American-made superbike. So I got a phone call from Eric Buell from the referral from John Ulrich, and that gave birth to another 5 years of life in racing, which culminated with me racing as a factory racer in World Superbike, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
To be able to come from the parts counter at Roswell Fun Machines.
Crashing his dad's
crashing my
whale of a BMW in the mountains.
Yeah. And just being some dumb kid, all the way to, being able to take my family and go live in Italy and race on the world stage with, I got to hang out with Johnny Ray and Leon Haslam. And it was such a cool thing to see how much of a community World Superbike was. And these guys would all hang out with their family, with their kids. Mm-hmm. Sylvan Gintoli, looking back on it now, because it's 12 years. That was 2014. So it's coming up on 12 years, which is mind blowing. But my son got to grow up and travel the world and live in Italy and hang out with world champions. And he's too young to remember any of it, but we got all the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, you have had very, very much one of those great, we'll call it the American dream story, or just the dream of perseverance and going for it. Because I remember you being that young grasshopper behind the parts counter. Is that like, dude, I'm just going to whack you with something. Give me that exhaust. Just hopping around going, I'm going to be a MotoGP rider. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And we're like, dude.
But I did it.
You did, I know.
You have to have...
But at the time, you never know, especially because so many fast riders came out of Georgia. It was not, like, for example, like we're all like, oh, Jeff's going to do this or that. No, I always want to believe in people because, you look at Mike Smith, Scott Russell, whoever, we know all the fast names from around here. They're all just your neighbor, everybody who is somebody started off as nobody. There's very few people that are just born into fame. And I think when somebody it really, really has to do more so with the drive to succeed and persevere no matter what, because we also know a bunch of people around that time frame of you that had everything done for them. Mm-hmm. Fathers who would drive them across the country. Sorry, bleep that one for me. Yeah. I get a little passionate about this one because this guy really makes me mad. Parents that would just do anything for their kids, made it happen for them, put them in all the right places. And those guys just had it all. And they didn't have the drive because they were just riding on somebody else's coattails. And we'll talk about it later because I'm just still so mad that, this one particular person that was talented, very talented, he could have been. He was one of those guys that shoulda, coulda, woulda, had all the doors opened for them, but they got too sucked into the lifestyle of the rich and the famous and the drugs and the whatever and the girls and all this stuff. And you look at that and then you look at you and you had more drive and less doors open for you, but you made it happen.
I had to work for everything. I couldn't afford a mechanic for a lot of it. So that was another thing. It was like, necessity is the mother of all invention.
Yes.
And I gotta say too, like, as part of all the stars lining up, I have so many people to thank and that helped me, right? Like if it wasn't for Cam Roos,
right,
Hippie, Johnny Waters, then I rode for Mike Embry, John Ulrich, like people that believed in me. If it wasn't for them, it wouldn't have ever happened because I didn't have any money. Right. I couldn't do it on my own other than the actual thing I had really good ability and drive for. So I got lucky in a lot of ways. Like, honestly, I look back at it all now. I was it's kind of hindsight for me, which is really weird because I didn't want to retire in 2023. I had to. I had to do it for my family. again, the music stopped. And motorcycle racing has always been, and it happens to a lot of guys. You'll see it. The music stops and you're left without a chair. Mm-hmm. What do? You know, at some point, you know, for me, I looked at it as like a gambler. It's like, you got to know when to walk away from the table. Mm-hmm. When's enough? Mm-hmm. 23 years of racing, you know, and I tell people this and they're like, holy crap, but I made millions of dollars doing it, you know, over the course of it. I mean, it's like being a pro baseball player or something. And I got to experience pretty much, I mean, if you look at like a list of goals, I checked all the boxes. The only one I didn't check is I never got to ride a MotoGP bike and I didn't get to race at Suzuka.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 things that are left undone.
Yeah, but you check so many boxes that people only can dream of.
It's like I'm just being greedy at this point. But it has been really hard the last 2 years. I keep dipping my toe back in it randomly, and I haven't really let it go until, honestly, the last couple months. Mm-hmm. Because I flew out to Texas, Dakota, and there was somebody that wanted to help me get back into racing and start a team and go back in. And I know what it takes, you know, the level of commitment and training and time and just mental fortitude to go do this. And I know I can. I know I'm still fast enough. I've shown it as of recent. Like, I got back on the bike after not riding for a whole year. Mm-hmm. And I did what I did in 2001 or 2000. I started at Barber dead last, 14th row of the grid, and by lap 2, I'm in the lead and checked out.
Yeah.
You know, so I still have the speed, and that lap time, those lap times were good enough for me to get first or second in MotoAmerica. Yeah. If you compare them. So it's like, okay, I still have the speed. What I don't have is the why. Like, why?
Right.
Why do this? My son's 13. I'm taking away from him by traveling. If we go race AMA Superbike again, well, what happens to Riley? Does he get to play travel ball?
Yeah.
Nope. Do I get to ride dirt bikes with him and like go fishing and stuff? Nope. Yeah. So, and the money's gone from the sport. So, I mean, everything has a price at the end of the day, and I love it more than anything in the world. Like, there's nothing on this planet like the feeling of wringing the neck of a Superbike and being so far ahead of what the bike's doing that you're in the zone, and you could literally pull the pin on a grenade and stick it under my ass, and I'm not coming off that thing. It's like, you can't crash it. I don't know if you've ever felt that, where it's like, I can't crash this thing. You can do anything with it. And there's nothing like that.
Well, it is that confidence that you have that lets you do that. You know, if you don't have that confidence, you're not going to ride like that. Yeah.
And that comes through seat time and time, lots of time. Like, everybody wants the easy button in life now. They want to just, you know, pay for it or take the pill or, you know, the easy path. And I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know if you could quantify the amount of miles on a racetrack I've ridden, you know, or time and hours put into that craft of doing it. And that's how you get there. Yeah.
Well, people have to do hard things. And it's a book I have sitting on the table for my son, who will read it because I've told him like 10 times to read it. He's 12. So do hard things. I have it also on my refrigerator, and it says, if you don't do hard things, then things will be hard for you.
Yeah. That's so true.
And you can choose what your hard thing is.
Choose your hard.
Yeah. You can have your life be difficult because you don't want to do, you know, if you're studying for something and you want to take the easy route, then you're going to have the hard thing of failure of your tests or whatever. And it's something that I'm really trying to instill in him and others that I have influence with. We have to do the hard thing. I love doing hard things.
It's anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Yeah.
You know,
it doesn't come easy.
And you want to choose your hard, because it's like this past year, my life's probably been the hardest year I've ever lived on this, on earth. Like, it's been one of those years where it's just fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And, it's partially because I didn't choose my hard.
Yeah.
Right. I lived in the bubble, right? Racing got so easy. It's so automatic for me. And I got too comfortable with the ease of making money at racing because I got so good at it, and it's just easy. It's automatic. But I should have been doing something else. And I had people tell me, kind of like you, when I was a kid, like, hey man, you might want to like have a plan B. I'm like, no, I'm all in. I'm all in. So it's the one thing that got me there that also inevitably has made things harder in life. Here I am, 45 years old, father, and it's like, damn, I wish I would have started a business, or like so many things I could have done.
Yeah, but you're only 45.
That's true. That's true.
I wanted to own my own business 10 years ago. I mean, owning your own business for the first time at my age, when you wanted to do it, younger than you, it's, for me, it's a bigger risk now because I don't have another 20 years to mess around.
Yeah.
So
compress the time.
You got 20 something, 30 years to do something else.
Figure something else. Yeah.
And so there's plenty of opportunities. Things are changing so much too. I mean, all kinds of, even though, people are scared of AI chopping off so much job opportunity, there's going to be so many other things that open up. And you never know. Motorcycling is changing. And, you talk about, 2008, 2009. I think if we had our timeline and a big giant red marker of when things really went down and never recuperated, it is that time frame. There's so many things that happened in our industry that drug it down. And there is a resurgence, but it's different. It's not like, when we were starting off, and the community is being built, but it's being built in a different way. A lot of it is all social media driven community, but places like WOW and other shops that still do a lot of the events and things like that try and foster that community thing. I would love to see racing pack the house like it did for Big Kahuna and those types of epic races.
I don't think people have time. I mean, I don't know. I think part of it's the community's been cut in half, right?
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that are into motorcycles, there's so fewer. I don't know. I mean,
we see a lot of young people. We see a lot of younger people. Plus, we sell a lot of first-time riders. So we see probably more first-time riders and younger riders than any other shop. So it gives me hope that we are on a resurgence because things come and go in trends, and I am very hopeful that people are seeing motorcycles as not just an accessory, but a very good economical mode of transportation, and also the community that comes along with it. So that's all, we keep working on, sell people bikes, give them something to do with it, let them meet cool other people. The thing with the racetracks, because we went, didn't go last year, but we would attend, some of the events around here. And it is sad to go, if you don't go for a while, and your mind is where it used to be, like thousands and thousands of people there and jam-packed this and that, and you go and it's like desolate.
I struggled with it.
It's tough.
I struggled with it the last couple of years of my career that added to that thought process. And I know other guys, Mike Fitzgerald, Thermos Man, suspension guru, man, him and I talk about it. It's not the same. And you show up, and it's almost like ever since, and I hate to say it, MotoAmerica took it over. You go to some of these events, and it's so anticlimactic. When you're there, you're just like, man, because you knew what it was, right? And how big it was.
If you didn't have that firsthand knowledge of what it's like when, you win and you go to the podium and you're fighting through the people who want to be there to see you, and you see all the people jammed up in the corners, and people are actually actively, yelling and screaming as riders are going by and stuff, and having that, the whole, obviously I draw a lot from Red Atlanta because we spent a lot of time there, but the overnight camping and the crazy stuff that would happen over the weekends, which is probably why we got in trouble and we were invited to leave forever.
Well,
but it's too much digital stuff now.
It's too much digital.
They say that more people watch it now through the comfort of their own homes. But when we did take some people who had never been to a road race before, I took some young people and got them really good stuff. Like they got to go into places that, most people don't get to go into and really get behind the scenes stuff. They were cool with it, but it was outside and hot, and you had to walk long distances and things that a lot of people are not used to anymore. Yeah, and also being far away. Yeah.
The conveniences are all gone, right?
I guess.
A little bit.
But we have to roll with the times and adapt. And I think there'll be, just like anything else, there'll be a resurgence. And, Supercross packs the house. And it has changed. It's
You've seen
It's like they took over Monster Truck in a way, you know?
Yeah, they've made it a good show.
It is a show.
It's a show, you know, and it's a good one. Another one that's really, it hurts too, right? Because you see these other, like Supercross, and then the big one is IMSA. I mean, they're like in the golden ages for them of like, it is absolutely booming. If you go to the Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
This year I went up there and it took me almost 2 hours to get from the highway to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And
you want that for motorcycling again, like it used to.
They closed the gates to cars at 10:30 in the morning. Said we're full.
Wow,
we're full. Wow. Like nobody's coming in, and so people were parking 5 miles away and walking in, and it's like they probably had over 120,000 people there. And it's like we used to be in parallel with them, right? Like the Big Kahuna was in parallel with the Petite Le Mans as far as event size, and so
And I think they did some for the Petite Le Mans. I think there was some riders that had gone out and tried to get some of those spectators to come to the road races. I don't remember who those guys were, but I do remember.
Donnie Rowe and them, right?
No. Going out and doing like, just like a little, a couple laps around the track to show the people who were there for the cars how cool it is when you see, a pack of bikes going through there.
Yeah, we
just trying
need
to.
That.
Yeah, we do need that cross promotion of those things.
There needs to be more cross promotion. I think that would help. I see the same thing you're seeing. It's cyclical, right? So now you kind of see this resurgence in MotoAmerica with Ashton Yates. And you see a lot of the guys that are now old enough from the road racers of the 2000s or even in the 90s, and then their kids are into it. It's because they think it's cool and they look up to it and they're gravitated towards that lifestyle and the fun. I mean, it's really great thing. The authenticity of it. That's to me, probably the biggest thing about motorcycle racing is how authentic it is. It's one of the last things in life where they haven't made it so fair for everybody that they've taken away the raw, just
natural
authentic.
Talent.
Yes, you still have it where if somebody is that naturally talented, they're going to end up at the front.
Yeah.
They're not handicapped because that's the great thing about motorcycle riding. It's so much about skill set.
Yeah.
And other things, they dumb it down. Like I hate that about car racing, right? Like the Petite Le Mans, one of the things that drove me nuts about it, I did a stint working at the Porsche Experience Center for about 4 years as a driver coach. And here we are, I'm getting to drive these like GT3 RSs and stuff and rip around in them. And then you go to the track and you look at the factory race car, right? Like the Porsche RSR 911 thing. It's supposed to be like the pinnacle, like a Superbike, right? Like it is the epitome of the street bike that gets sold. Yeah. Well, this street car, the GT3 RS, the race car should be the epitome of it. It's detuned. How can you have a race car that's detuned? Well, they got to make it fair. So the Corvette and so all these different manufacturers can play together and race against each other in the same space. So they balance all their power down.
Screw that. Let the fastest one win.
Exactly. Like, what are you talking about?
Racing. It's racing.
How can it be slower than the street car? What if we raced Gixxer 1000s that had 30 less horsepower than the stock bike on the floor?
So you could ride with a 600 and make it fair.
I mean, I don't know.
That's what happens when you give trophies to everyone.
Yeah, participation trophy era. I mean, well, you're seeing it in a different way if you're paying attention to what's happening in MotoAmerica. And it's not really their decision because they're directly in line with the World Championship. They wanted to align themselves with FIM. So if you're watching Supersport, right? Supersport used to be 600s and there was minimal modification done, but the manufacturers are always trying to one-up each other to come out with a better 600. That development stopped like in 2010.
Yeah.
Right. They haven't gotten any better since then. An R6 went away. They don't even sell it anymore. So now you've got exactly that model of, we're going to detune them all so they're all equal. You've got the R9 in there. R6 is out. R9. It's a 900cc triple. What's it doing out there in Supersport class?
Well, we asked the same question of what it's doing on the showroom floor too.
And you got 636 or even the Honda CBR 600, which we don't get the same one here in the United States as they do in Europe. So you have everything, but they've they've allowed the 600s to have more, and then detuned the Ducati and the R9 and the Triumph 765, right? They've detuned them down. But whenever you start doing that, you start playing with, like I said, the authenticity.
Yeah.
Because politics can creep in. Well, who's policing the tuning?
Yeah.
Right? Who's getting what?
Right.
Because if you uncork that thing, you get a 20 horsepower advantage.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you can manufacture a championship. Politics.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be people trying to find the loopholes. I think, like, when Ducati had made the rear tire cooler piece that ended up being, allowed because I guess, they're like, oh, yeah, I guess it works. And, let them have more traction, let them go faster. It makes it for better racing. But there's also, I think, some other things to play that most people don't really wrap their brains around, and that is the industries themselves. Mm-hmm. So you remember Ben Cheatwood, and he said it best to me one time, because I talked about how it just seemed like Honda wasn't interested in motorcycles anymore, and that's how they were founded. It's crazy. All these big companies started from making, Honda came from making pistons. Little tiny things. Well, he said it's not American Honda Motorcycle Company. It's American Honda Motor Company. And the motorcycles are only the flea on the dog, as he said. And this was a long time ago when he said it. And now looking back at his statement then and knowing what they do now, they're so interested in other things. They're all interested in other things, and the motorcycling, unless it is a company that is solely dedicated to making motorcycles, they don't have a vested interest in making their motorcycle arm better or bigger, because there's not enough volume, especially here in the United States, because motorcycles are not mandatory transportation. They're not, they're looked at as toys. And until we have an adoption of a mindset like in Asia or Europe or practically the rest of the world, where motorcycles are a very necessary mode of transportation for space, for economy, for this, for that, they're going to remain like a low man on the totem pole now. So we have to look at, what is Honda doing? They're making motors and rockets and robots and, they still do motorcycles.
Flying car.
Trying to do all that. So, and I feel like the other manufacturers are in that same kind of thing.
Yeah. So a good one to look at that has always said, hey, this is our heritage and we're not going to deviate from this. We're not going to give up on racing, right? Mm-hmm. Porsche.
Yeah.
Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. They use racing as R&D for their products to make them better. Mm-hmm. It's great, but with the motorcycles, it's come and gone in waves, right? And they're not all doing it at the same time, the manufacturers, but it happened with Honda recently. So a lot of people don't realize, but if you're paying attention in MotoAmerica this past year, Honda made a big push with contingency and being present and trying to win. And it happened from the top. Because,
well, it also depends on who's working there and what their interests are too.
100%. So I guess there's a cycle of the president of the motorcycle division in Honda. Well, it changed after COVID, and the new guy, he showed up at Road Atlanta the year I retired and was like, why do we not have a presence out here other than, it was basically me. I think I was carrying the flag for Honda, and Ashton was too at the same time. And then he rode for Scheibe on the BMW. So I think at one point it was just me on the Honda.
Wow.
Carrying the flag. And
like for all the U.S.?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there was nobody else out there racing a Honda. And I was out there putting it on pole and putting it on the podium. And they had good contingency and the bike's really good. But they left from 2018, and that whoever that president was, they wanted nothing to do with racing, didn't see any value in it, and so
it's how the company came to be, jackass.
Yeah, they went away.
I hate that.
The new guy, he came in, man, and so they've been investing a lot of money. They've been doing a lot of good things for the sport. I just wish we'd have more of the manufacturers doing that. They all need to be kind of running together, like you see in IMSA.
Yeah.
Everybody's there in IMSA. They're all playing or they're getting in.
Well, hopefully there'll be enough bleed over from that desire, because also F1 is taking off like crazy, and just the race scene. And again, I think if we could cross-pollinate, and do some mock racing at some of these other big car events, people would be like, man, that's really cool, because you can see the rider. You can see, like, it adds that extra element of danger and suspense. And I think when you're watching racing, I just think that road racing, seeing the person on the machine is just still the ultimate for me. And, the cars are super fast and loud and all that, but seeing the person.
You see the person. It's personal. It's not a rolling billboard.
Yeah.
You see the art in motion of what that rider is doing, and it has a whole nother dimension, right?
Yeah.
So a car is 2D.
Yeah.
A motorcycle is 3D because of the bank angle.
Yeah.
And then as it's banking too, then lighting the rear tire up and sliding while banked over and then into a wheelie. It's like, there's a lot going on.
And then
there.
Talk about how it's changed in the time that you've ridden. I remember when, I think it was probably, you'll remember who it was, but like the first person to be consistently dragging their elbow.
Yates was doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Some of those particularly to his size, and then myself actually.
Because didn't Chris still do that on his Hawk?
Yeah, because you're going farther back. Like some people had done it. Like it started happening in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And in the early 2000s, you started seeing some of the guys like Nicky Hayden and Aaron Yates.
Hello, can you go?
At some tracks. Well, again, there's technology because the tires got really good in the 2000s. Right. So the tire technology was coming on, the bike technology, the suspension technology, all of it was kind of coming to a pinnacle. And that allowed for these lean angles. And I even got crap for it. When I first went to Jordan, one of the guys, I don't remember who it was one of the team managers or something, was like, why do you ride that way, dude? Why are you dragging your elbow? This is 1,000. You're not supposed to ride it that way. It's point and shoot. Like, pick it up, keep it on the fat part of the tire, because and it was a new thing. And then that was 2000, 2006 is where you started seeing a lot of pictures of me dragging elbow, and all the leathers back then had, titanium on the elbows. So it's throwing sparks everywhere.
Yeah. I remember
getting
that.
some really cool pictures. And lo and behold, then you see Marquez and these guys doing it. The new school, they're all doing it.
Now somebody's getting up under their shoulder. Is that right?
Oh yeah, those dudes are getting their shoulders on the ground now.
Yeah,
I mean it's a whole it's
the next thing.
But they've continued. Whereas with Superbikes, road going stuff the technology, we really got hammered by that 08, 09, 10, that housing crash, and then the lack of bike sales. They stopped developing these things. All they did was they made the motors a little more reliable, a little faster, a little more horsepower, and they added electronics across the board. You can go and look back at results that around that 07, 08, 09 time, they're just now breaking the track records we were setting almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
With all those rider aids, all that stuff, and more power, how are they not going exponentially faster? Well, they didn't do any more development on suspension or chassis or anything like that. It all stopped. All the money went to electronics, which are really just Band-Aids. They actually slow you down.
Yeah.
But MotoGP, look at what they've done with the wings. Look at what they've done with composites in the frame.
Yeah, those things look... we get a road racing magazine here sometimes, and I'd taken them home to, when you, as I referenced earlier, now I'm a generalist and not a specialist. When you get into the level of business that I do, it's like you have to clear shelf space off, And I used to be following racing, and I used to know a lot more about it. So I kind of dip in it every now and then because that's still where I started. That's where a lot of my passion for riding had come from, being at the racetracks. And looking at the front end of some of those bikes now, I'm like, man, it's a spaceship, so different looking, and what they've been able to figure out and tweak and do in what I still consider a short amount of time, because they took a hiatus, let's call it. It's really amazing to kind of back away from it. It's kind of just noise in the background, and then I get into it and I'm like, let me catch up and see what's been happening. And I love it. I really think there's too much tech in them sometimes, for sure. especially when we're working on something, we can't find that stupid gremlin that's running around in there. But it is what they can do is absolutely amazing.
It's impressive, and you see it in their lap times where super bikes have kind of hit a wall.
Yeah. Well, and you also talk about the president coming in of Honda. Sometimes all it takes is that one person, because like with Ducati was struggling hard, and then when the VW Audi car group bought them, it was because one guy liked them, and that
really changed the course of Ducati. If you pay attention to what happened from going from Panigale, 1199 style bike to what we have now with the V4, and how much technology they've been able to leverage from the automotive side.
Yeah. So you take, and that's a big leap in my opinion, if I'm just looking at everything objectively, and how that will drive, that type of competition will drive the next rendition of Discovery. And as other things from the car industry and the rocket industry all come together, because I cannot wait to see what Mr. Elon brings to the table. We're supposed to have some sneak peek of their Roadster, hopefully, or something. He alluded to something just recently that they're supposed to be releasing that's supposed to be like the next step.
We might, unfortunately, the next cool racing thing might be manned drones, where you're racing drones. I don't
know. I mean, yes.
Could you imagine how cool that'd be? It'd be like Star Wars, people flying around on these things through a course racing.
Maybe, yeah. Well, they kind of already do stuff like that, but more like, let's do it like Tron.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're driving the drone, like you're not flying it with a remote.
Oh, like you're in it. You're in it.
You're in it, and you're wearing like leathers with an airbag, because if you crash that thing, you're probably dead. Yeah,
we were talking about how the drones are not going to be the next new thing, because at least like even with helicopters, it has some kind of lift as it's coming down. Drones, they stop working and you're a rock. Yeah. So until they can come up with some anti-gravity or like a maglev kind of button to push or something like that, I don't know. But I'm interested to see.
Somebody sent me a video, I think it was last month. One of the dudes I work with, he's like, "Have you seen this? This exists." And I pulled it up, and it was literally, it's guys. They're not to the point of like racing them, but they're flying around, and these drones.
In the man drone, the big black one.
Yeah, like four rotor man one's flying around.
Oh, of course. I mean, you give a guy a toy like that, and he's going to immediately be like, "How can I race this?"
That's what I thought. I'm like, dude, I've raced that thing. But again, like you said, it's like a helicopter. If that thing loses power, it's just
it's not like a helicopter. Yeah, well, helicopters will, I guess, depending on what's going on,
auto rotate down.
Yeah.
So you're dropping even more like a rock.
Yeah.
Or
it gives you a little bit. It doesn't drop quite like a drone does, but yeah. I have not experienced a helicopter crash.
I've never flown in one for that reason, because there's other motorcycle racers back when I was coming up. Hislop and guys that died in helicopters. And
Earl Smalls. That's how he died. He had his own personal helicopter, and that's how he
It was that same
exited.
Mentality, because my dad was a pilot his whole career, and it's like, you can glide the plane.
Yeah.
You can still land it with no power. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to drop like a rock out of the sky.
Yeah. Well, I think the drones are here to stay for sure. Walmart's rolling out their drone grocery delivery service, which I guess they're trying to get ahead of Amazon a little bit somehow, some way, but I suspect that Amazon just let them roll that out first. Yeah. Yeah. Now it goes back to our conversation we had about owning your airspace over your house. Like, can you own your airspace and then be like, sorry, you can't fly through my airspace? But
yeah, that's a tricky one. They're going to have to figure out some laws.
Yeah. Well, there are. It's like, you have air highways up there, and drones can only go to certain heights, or supposed to.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have those.
Well, what's the minimum, right? Like, because it's like, over my house, I own that. Don't fly that over my house. I'll shoot it.
I don't know that you own anything over your house. That's what one of our discussions was, is do you own your airspace? And I think with all of this, the fight to dominate everything, I think that is going to be something that's going to be a hot topic pretty soon, especially if all of a sudden, like, imagine we're taking all the Ubers and Lyfts and whatever, all of our delivery services that we have now, and we put them in the air. Like, let's think about that. Like, I hate to tell on myself, but I had 2 deliveries to my house yesterday because I was being really lazy. And that's just me. So put that in the air. And yeah, that's ugly. I don't like that. I have a hard enough time where I live because it's right by Dobbins, and then you've got McCollum. So and I'm next to the hospital. So I get the emergency helicopter all the time. I get all of the military traffic from Dobbins, and I get all the private pilots who, if I find out who this guy is that puts his air brakes, it's not air brakes, but when they put the flaps down to act like brakes coming in, he does it way too far away, and it just like makes this horrendous noise like forever. And he does it at night. I'm going to go to McCollum and like chastise him off the runway and go, you shake my whole house when you do that. But anyway, so yeah, just add to the skies with drones is going to be another challenge, I think, that we're going to have to overcome. But hopefully they'll have it all figured out. Those smart people.
Maybe you'll be selling them here, right?
Human drones coming to a showroom near you.
Might be the new fad,
It will be once they're affordable enough for people. But
it's like we were talking downstairs, like I'm sure you see it with your son.
Yeah.
All of them want Surons or
Yeah.
these RTR,
Well,
all these electric dirt bikes, right?
Yeah.
And they want them so they can ride them on the road.
we see there's a little gang of them that goes up and down Cobb Parkway. And I'm like, they don't even have helmets on. But that's going to, like things are cyclical. That's going to bite that industry in the ass, just like the 3-wheelers did.
Yep.
Just like
All it's going to take is
Yeah.
a couple kids getting taken out, and it's going to be the same thing we already know from being in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the kid screwed up. It's going to be somebody on their phone in the car. It's just going to run over the kid on the sidewalk on his Suron.
Well, there was a kid that was killed in Woodstock, and I think it was just he was going too fast wherever he was, probably didn't have a helmet or something, and they go fast. And even going down a hill on a bicycle, can you imagine this hill right here on Cobb Parkway? People sailing down it on a bicycle with no helmet.
Do like, some of them go like 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, and at that point, that's not a bicycle anymore.
Yeah,
Put a tag on it, register it,
motorcycle.
insure it. Yeah.
Well, that's the argument, because one of my son's friends, like, he does that. There's a group of them up there that they go ride around on the road and the sidewalks. I'm like, technically you can't do any of that, but it's kind of a loop. The laws haven't been established because it's not technically, I guess, a motorcycle. Is it a bicycle? Is it
It was similar to those scooters that had the pedals on them. And yeah, what is it now?
What is it? So the cops are actually, like, a couple of them have gotten in trouble, like, hey, you can't do this. And they've gone to court and they have to actually
rescind it.
And like, well, we don't have laws in place, but it's not good because, again, what you said, same for our industry, people that are doing a big disservice to themselves, not going and taking the motorcycle safety course and learning proper technique. And I think it's even worse because these kids are young and they don't have the skill set. I mean, they might get away with it. It's like survival of the fittest, I don't know, but like I said, they're not wearing helmets.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much at 45, 50 miles an hour with no gear, no helmet to kill you.
Well, we tell people when they're down there just trying gloves on, and they're like, well, do I really need gloves? And one of the things, I just look them straight in the eye and I go, can I trip you just standing here? Just go ahead and step right over my foot and fall down and land on your hand. Well, does that sound fun?
That's the first reaction too, right? Like
exactly.
If you fall, your hand goes out.
Right. So I tell them, could you imagine doing that, just standing here and falling and just letting your hand get carpet burn? Now multiply that by 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, asphalt, rocks, sewer lids, whatever, the little reflective things on the street.
Yeah, gear is such cheap insurance. Like, people have no idea, because once you don't have it and something happens, like, you can't undo that.
No.
You're living with that the rest of your life, that trauma. And it's not pretty.
Yeah, and the people in the ERs don't really have a lot of patience for it. When they have to do the debrisement, they take a little bit of joy on digging all the asphalt chips out of you. And they're like, you should have this, you should have that, and da-da-da, da-da-da.
The gear is so good nowadays, too. Like,
and it's so cheap, too. I mean, when you were selling it back in those days, it was very limited. and it was expensive. Like you really
About the
couldn't
same
afford.
price, like the high end stuff, like a Dainese or a
Well, the high end stuff is the same price because it was expensive then. But I'm saying like it's come down in price, so you can have a summer jacket and a winter jacket and an in between jacket, and it's still generally good quality.
Relatively cheap because too, if you factor in inflation, like we were talking about back then, a 600 was like $5,000.
Yeah.
Right. Or 1,000 when that Gixxer 1,000 first came out. I think they were like $7,500. Now they're any 1,000 nowadays is close to 25 grand.
Oh yes,
or more.
Yes,
or way
we
more.
suffer that here all the time.
So the gear, yes, is relatively way cheap in comparison to what else has transpired. And I got to tell you, man, like so one of the things, it may sound a little nuts, but I kind of get off on the fact of crashing a motorcycle at 130 miles an hour and being thrown across the grass like and gravel trap like a wiffle ball and then getting up and walking away.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a little tough, you know. You're just, come on, man, give me more.
Do it again, do it again.
And it works. Like, I mean, the gear is so good. I gotta say, part of it too, another one, you want to talk about gear? I wore Arai helmets my entire career, right? And people ask, well, the difference of other brands and stuff like that. My dad was always a big believer that, you get what you pay for, right? And Arai was always top. It was the best. So if you're going to go do this, then why not wear the best? Because that's the cheapest, best insurance you can have,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So here I am sitting here. I've had a 23-year career at road racing. I don't even know how many times I've crashed. I can't even calculate it, but I can tell you because I wore Arai helmets and I was sponsored by them. And when I wasn't, I paid for it myself. I have destroyed, and when I mean destroyed, I've cratered at least 12 helmets where it just smashed, looked like a windshield of a car.
Right.
And you know how many concussions I've had in my career?
Hopefully zero. Yeah.
I know a lot of other riders, and I'm not going to name any names out there of brands or anything, but they hit their head and it ended their career.
Yeah.
Lights out.
Yeah. You jiggle your Jello and it's no good.
It's no good, man.
Yeah. It has very, very long-term lasting effects as we're finding out with TBI, traumatic brain injury. And that's not just from you smacking your head in an accident like a car or motorcycle. That's also soccer players, volleyball players, anybody repeatedly hitting their head with stuff. Yeah. And they now with Alzheimer's and dementia, it is very, very much
PTSD as well.
PTSD.
They're attributing a lot of that to it like you said, it's your brain moving around inside your skull, and that can happen from guys in the military shooting guns, the repeated percussions,
the shaking and the vibration,
vibrating of your brain.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing, and that's another one too. Like you have to understand, one of the things I learned from Arai is the helmet's made to hit the asphalt and do its job on asphalt.
Right.
It's worse if you hit your head in the grass because the helmet doesn't do its job because the ground is soft. So the helmet goes thud and it doesn't shatter and disperse that energy. Your brain moves inside. Yeah. So
they've got a lot of, speaking of technology, they've put a lot of good advancements into materials. And one of the guys from Alpine Star was here and he was talking about, he finds the advancements in the fibers that they're putting into the stuff really, really cool. And I think they borrowed a lot of that from the ball sports and put it into the motorcycle helmets. And, advancements happen all the time and it just makes everything safer and safer. And, the stuff looks cool too. And I think it's a lot more comfortable than it was at one time.
Yeah, I can go back. And look at some of the early leathers before the technology.
Like a shrimp or something.
You couldn't pay me to wear it now, but that's all we had.
Right.
You look at the dudes in the 90s, like Scott Russell and, all those guys and what they had to wear compared to what we have now.
Yes.
Man, I think that's a reason why you're seeing guys racing way longer because they can still physically do it because they're not as broken up because the gear is so good.
Yeah, the air vest stuff. And, I think that the impact, the things that help absorb the impact, really coming a long way and becoming a lot more affordable and coming to a point where people can buy it for the street. We've got that display down there.
The air vests that you can kind of put in anything.
Yep.
Like wear your jacket. Yeah. So I had kind of the option because I was with Dainese early. Michael Jordan, 2008. I got on board with Dainese. And I stayed with them ever since because for me, it was either them or Alpine Star were the best you could get for road racing on the track. And they started doing the air vest around 2010, 11 is when we first started seeing it. And I always stayed away from it, but there was a little bit of politics, right? So I was always Arai, and I was not willing to give up my Arai helmet for AGV, which is Dainese and AGV, same company. And I'm like, no. So they withheld on me. They're like, sorry, we can't give you the D-Air system because you're not wearing an AGV. And I'm like, all right,
yeah,
sorry.
those kinds of things shouldn't have a place.
So then I didn't know what I was missing.
Yeah.
All these years, all these guys are using air vests, and here I am kind of like turning into this crusty old racer dude from where I started, right? I'm the old guy, right?
Yeah,
Here I am out there in my 40s, and I'm the old dude. And all these guys are wearing these accessory air vests. And I was like, I don't need a damn air vest. I've been racing 20 years. What do I need an air vest for, right? We're like, we become resistant to change.
Yes.
Or we get comfortable. And I'm like, this suit's good enough. Like, I don't need that stupid airbag. It makes the suit heavier.
Right.
But the last 2 years of my career, I got to wear the same suit that the MotoGP guys have.
And you're like, oh, this is what I'm missing.
It's like it's a lot more money. If you could buy it, it's like $7,000 suit.
Yeah.
But I had 2 accidents, and it was absolutely insane the difference it made with that airbag going off. I walked away. I had a brake failure at Road Atlanta coming up turn 1 up into the chicane up at the top. So it was like 130 miles an hour, no brakes. I had to go to the rear brake. It's on YouTube. It's a good one.
Win before, but this is a different BMW.
Yeah, different BMW. Not only that, but also a totally different team. Oh, Geoff May.
Whoa, big crash. And unfortunately, the bike is still going down. Roger, I know we'll get to take another look at that. And behind him, he'll get something. What happened?
It just looks like something that's weird. He was way offline and coming in with a lot more speed.
Was that a rear wheel lockup or something? Like the way that he was sliding into that? We need to see that again. He's already gone there when he comes out of that picture.
Almost like the throttle stuck, maybe. See how much speed he has coming in there?
Yeah, dude, he was, coming in hot and could not do anything about it. And Corey, does he? You catch that in your eye?
I didn't see that.
Okay, I was like, because after cutting through the track part there, I wonder if Corey could even see that coming.
And it was either drill Corey Alexander in front of me who's leading the race, or go left and go straight into a wall. So I laid on the rear brake, laid the bike down, missed both of them. Airbag goes off. Not a bump, not a bruise on me. And as I'm crashing, I'm like, this is hilarious. I feel like I'm wrapped in bubble wrap, like I'm bouncing and it's squishy and it's protecting me. Like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And I thought about it. I was like, man, I was so resistant. I could have been in this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had another one that same year in 2022. A guy hit me. Like, I never had this happen in my career, but he totally just on the warm-up lap didn't realize he had to use the chicane instead of go straight. So I'm turned in all the way, leaned over on my knee, and this guy drills me going like 60 miles an hour faster than me. Hits me right here in my back, like my shoulder blade. The airbag went off. It sensed the impact and went off. And, and like saved me. I thought it would only work based on the gyro and it knowing you separated from the motorcycle. This thing went off while I'm on the bike to protect me from being hit from behind. It's like the technology and how smart it is, the algorithms they have now on these things it's really cool. And I think it's gonna, honestly, if people will wear them and spend the money, it can not only can it save your life, but it can prevent the level of injury that you're gonna get is gonna be so much lower.
Yeah, because
they've done so much R&D with the MotoGP guys, and it's all trickled down now to where you can come here and buy it.
Right. And also, as that technology exists and gets improved and does come down in price, the more people that will adopt it and wear it, better it will become. The more people adopt any technologies, it always helps create a better product as time goes on. But, if people don't wear it, people don't buy it, then they're not going to keep working on it. So
it's a double-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Because they're businesses. They got to make money. If they're not profitable.
Yeah. And it's one thing to just make it for racers. It's very expensive, but, the costs need to come down for them too.
Yeah. I heard the latest one since then with the Danese now is a three-time deployment. Before it was, you had one and then you had to send it back to get repaired. Now it's up to 3.
Well, I was at the Parts Unlimited dealer convention when they brought it out the very first time, and I have a video of it. And it was, we were all like, wow, this is so cool. But the barrier on that was the fact that you had to send it off to get recharged. And that cost a bunch of, I can't remember what it was because it was a while ago when it came out, but it was hundreds of dollars. Yeah, so you had to pay $600-$700 for the thing. And then if it did deploy itself, then you had to pay like $200-$300 to get it recharged. And it was like a head scratcher. But, enough people, early adopted it to keep it there. And
the airbag back then, those first D-Airs, they destroyed themselves. So it wasn't just the canister, it was also the airbag self-destructed in it doing its thing. Like the fibers ripped and everything. It was done, right? It was like I want it done. So you really had to get a whole new airbag and then a new canister and then have it all repackaged back in there.
Yeah.
But now I think, like you said, the materials have gotten so much better. They can have one that can deploy up to 3 times before it's got to go back.
And it also, as people think through the problems with it, it's like, how can we make this just function forever? Like it can just self heal, or how can it hold multiple charges, or how can it take something else and charge itself up? Like there's somebody thinking about that all the time. There's some engineer somewhere that is just trying to solve this problem to where it's a perpetual self-creating or self-healing.
Maybe that's one of the things that'll help, the sport we love. And I don't mean racing. I mean just 2 wheels in general, like, riding as it becomes more and more and more safe, the barrier to it and the stigma of, oh, that's so dangerous. Everybody knows somebody's been hurt or killed. That starts to go away, and then it opens it back up to more people participating in it. And because, I truly still, out of everything I've done in my life, I think the act of riding on 2 wheels and not even being a racer, just going back to when I was a kid, just being in motion on 2 wheels, there's nothing else really like it. There's a few things, but it really is the pinnacle.
Yeah, it is. It is the closest thing to flying that we've got, really, on the ground, that is, unless you are a pilot and you can go fly around in the air.
Which I didn't do that that was the path that I thought I was going to go on, was be a pilot like my dad. And he told me, he said, Geoff, it's really not that fun. Like, honestly, go be a racer because it seems to be working out for you. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, you can always still come back and you'll know by this point, you'll still have time to enlist and go be a Navy pilot like I was. But he's like, dude, it's like being a glorified truck driver, bus driver. It's not that fun. He's like, I can count on one hand how many times I got to fly 100 feet off the deck and do some fun, like, stuff you see in Top Gun.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Not everybody's a jet fighter pilot.
That doesn't happen.
And if you are a jet fighter pilot, there's going to be that time when you're having to do the fighting part, which is very dangerous.
Yeah, so I went the 2-wheel route because of that, and it is more fun, I believe, Yeah.
I don't think it's a day at the office.
No, it's definitely not a day at the office. It's addicting.
Yeah.
Be careful. It's addicting.
Well, everything, your environment changes on the track from moment to moment. So think through all the tracks that you've been to. What was maybe one of the funniest things that happened on one of the tracks?
Oh man, I was just talking to somebody the other day about this. It was hilarious. I was at Sonoma in Finion or Sears Point. It's changed names a bunch and it's come and gone off the schedule. But I can't remember the year. I want to say it's probably sometime I was with M4. And it's got this section where you go up the drag strip all the way to the end, and it has kind of like a double apex 180 where you come back. And I'm back in the thing, and I'm sliding into this corner probably at about 90 miles an hour from 150. And as I'm going to my knee to hit touchdown, there's a snake on the curbing at the apex. And it's not a little snake. It's a snake. Like, it's coiled up.
Yeah.
And it's got its head up like this. And I screamed like a girl. I mean, it was a high-pitched squeal, and I pulled my leg back.
Are you phobic of snakes?
I was.
I guess.
I was then a little bit, right? Like, it scared the shit out of me. And then I thought about it the next corner as I'm racing. Actually, I think it was in qualifying, but still, in qualifying, you're in like go mode.
Yeah.
It's, intense. And I'm coming back down on the track. I'm thinking, you dummy. You're wearing leathers and you have a knee puck. You destroy that thing at that speed. I'd disintegrate that snake if I would have hit it.
Yeah.
So that was funny. I mean, honestly, to myself, I was laughing in my head as I was going around the track about how dumb I was.
Yeah. Well, when you have phobias of things, it's irrational fear. I mean, I think most humans have an irrational fear of bugs as it just normally, and it is something that comes from the primitive brain, I guess, when bugs would bite you and instantly kill you. And it's something that we can't get out of us. And it's so irrational. It's so irrational because I'm not going to say what I have a little reaction to, because then that would just lead to people doing it to me. And I think about it when I'm like going, ugh, there's a whatever. It's irrational because they don't bite you. They don't do this. They don't do that. Like, you put a bug on anybody, the toughest person, unless they're, a bug person, you're going to get a reaction.
You're going to get a big reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had some bug incidences in racing, just sparked my memory. I had at VIR, I was coming down the front straightaway, and it's got a really fast kink in it where you're going like, on a big bike, we're going like 180 miles an hour, 6 gear, off into this kind of dip. And right at that, it's right at the start-finish line. And I was in qualifying again for some reason, and I'm going for pole, and a butterfly somehow managed to, as I'm in full tuck behind the windscreen going 6 gear, 180 miles an hour, finds its way up underneath my helmet, and you're breathing hard, right? So when you're racing, your heart rate's at like 180 beats per minute. Yeah. Like you're huffing and puffing. So I'm mouth breathing, just sucking air. And this butterfly goes under and up and straight into my throat. And I'm choking on this butterfly.
That's a new one.
I was literally like, and your mouth's dry because you're racing. So you got like cotton mouth, and this thing's stuck, and I can't breathe. And I'm going into the braking zone, which is 6 gear all the way down to first gear.
Yeah.
And somehow I managed to hack it out. And swallow part of it, get part of it out.
Was it a Monarch? Did you have like a multicolored mouth afterwards?
I think it was a Monarch. It was a big one. And
it had to have probably gotten sucked in a draft somehow.
Somehow, yeah. And just straight up in there.
Yeah. You were huffing hard.
That one kind of sucked.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I've, flies, other insects, bees, a couple hornets, people have told me about that have entered in. I think it's crazy when people put their helmets on the ground. Like every time I see somebody put a helmet on the ground, I'm like, are you stupid?
You don't do that. Red ants, man. You don't do
anything. You don't do it in your garage. You don't do it on the asphalt out here. I think that's so weird.
That's the last thing you want, something biting you while you're riding.
Yeah, or just putting it on the ground. That's, it's a good way to pick it up and somebody has just spit out their chewing gum or whatever. But yeah, putting them on the ground is no bueno, because a lot of people, I do remember a guy's like, and a spider was in it. I'm like, well, that's your dumbass fault,
Scorpions, spiders, cockroaches, nothing that you want up in there.
No. So did you ever have any other obstacles on tracks, like other animals, bigger animals, birds, deers, anything like that?
No. I mean, I think I've got a bird before. I know I've hit a bird.
I know Daytona, there was like normal issues with birds sometimes on there.
Yeah, in the early days, it was funny. Like back in the day, they used to always talk about first practice session, like you got to be super careful in the International Horseshoe because of all the bird shit.
Yes.
All the seagulls would come out there overnight and hang out and just poop all over the course. And then you go out there and dudes would high side and end their weekend because they crashed in bird shit.
Yes. We had some geese that were visiting us, and hopefully they won't come back this summer or this spring, but out here, not that it's a crashing hazard, but it's a stepping hazard. When you get a flock of geese camped out at your front doorstep, I don't know how much they poop, but it's crazy. So we did a lot, but they kept coming back. And we had the pressure washer out there every day. And they are a menace. They're a little bit of a menace.
I can see that.
At the time, I had a dog that was kind of a herding dog, so I set her loose on him, and that got rid of them for a little while. But they come back. Yeah.
Can't shoot them either.
No. Well, we could, but we don't. But you keep pooping on the sidewalk, and I might have to do something extreme. So yeah. Well, that's a pretty amazing life story recap for you there, Mr. Geoff May.
Yeah, it was a wild ride, man.
Yeah. What do you think your future holds? Any inkling?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really miss it, and I still want to ride. And
you hear that, y'all? He's out. He's for hire.
I mean, I thought honestly about a month ago, like I said, I've kind of changed course, but I flew out to Dakota, and I thought we were putting together a team, and I thought I was coming back full time and was going to make a run for the Supersport championship. With Matthew Schultz moved up, so did PJ. I was like, I was prime for going out there and winning the championship. But I don't see that on my cards anymore. I'm at peace with it and let it go. But I love to ride so much. One of the things I thought about doing, which I think would be really cool, is taking people over to Europe to ride the tracks that I got to ride in World Superbike and kind of experience like the food and the culture and getting to do that. I think that'd be really fun and ride those tracks. And I like helping people. I like making it safer by coaching people. And like, you did try to tell me like, hey man, take it easy. You'll get there. Just pump the brakes a little bit. Because that's the worst thing is seeing people get hurt when they don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that could be fun. I've also thought about I was never big on the influencer thing, right? It used to drive me nuts because like the whole invention, like we've seen a lot through that career I had of racing. Like there was no, even when I started, really email wasn't a thing. There was definitely wasn't smartphones. Like I remember traveling the country and we'd pull out the atlas.
Yes.
To figure out how to get to Laguna Seca.
Yeah.
How are we going to get across the country? I'll pull out the atlas.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed. And then I started my Facebook page because the Jordan team were like, you have to. It was like part of my duties as a rider. You got to get on the social media thing. It's part of your duties. And then that over time through like 2010 through 2020, some riders got rides because they had better social media accounts. And it used to drive me nuts. I'm like, it made me think back to the 80s when I was a kid growing up. I'm like, these guys are posers, right? Like that dude's a poser. That dude's no good. Like, why does he have the ride? Yeah. Oh, he's got more social media, which is worth money. So the sponsors like him. And he posts and he tweets and he does all this stuff. So I've been so anti social media and I've done just enough to like, kind of let people see a picture of what I'm doing, but be authentic. But I've thought about recently I want to give back in some way. And one of the things I was thinking about doing is doing kind of like a podcast like you, or really more of a Q&A, like creating a community where people can they can ask me, right? Like as a resource to help them into anything from starting to ride a street bike or dirt bike, to get into it, to do your first track day. How do you do your first track day? Or how do you go racing? How do you get your racing license? To make the barrier of entry a lot easier and to make it safer and just giving it away for free, basically.
Well, I've got some ideas for you because this is also the think tank. We come up with ideas here, but talking about you taking people over to Europe, we were having a previous episode this morning with a guy who was talking about how the manufacturers, some are better than others about offering experiences. And that sounds like it would be a perfect blend of your experience with what you've done, your travels, to partner up with a manufacturer for you to be the concierge on trips like
putting together experiences. I think that's more why we've kind of seen a demise in racing. Like if you look at the grids, there's 20 guys out there. They're not 60.
It's sad.
Well, so there's so many more options. When I started racing, you had to go race if you wanted to be on the racetrack. There was no track day. Track days didn't exist. Right. So you had to go at least club race or take a school. Now you have so many track day organizations. You don't have to go race. So you got a lot of guys like, why would you race? Like, you can go get the same feeling and satisfaction out of riding with your buddies at track day at a fraction of the cost. You're minimizing risk.
Yeah.
So I see why there's less people racing. And now people in general, I think society is becoming more about experiences. And they don't want to be an expert at road racing. They don't want to put the time and effort and energy in to do what I did or anything like that. Like, but they can go get a piece of it by, paying for an excursion or an experience, whatever it may be in.
It's like when they bring the high-end cars here. We took a small group of people one time to, they set up a track in a parking lot, and you've got an instructor with you, and you're driving a Ferrari or Lamborghini, and he just tells you what to do.
Yeah.
And that
keeps you safe.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun, and you don't have to go buy the car to do it. And you don't have to, for that, it's even better because it's so cheap compared to a track day or racing or buying the car, because you get a little bit of all that, but you only get just a few laps around the little,
around the extreme experience.
There was a couple of them.
A couple of them that did it, yeah. I mean, my stint at Porsche, being a driver coach for those 4 years, it's kind of the same thing. If you think about it, you can go there and pay $450 and drive a 911 for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is almost the same amount of time you're going to get on a track day, the whole day.
Right.
And you're burning someone else's gas. You're burning up someone else's tires. So if you look at it from that.
Insurance.
All those things, right? So
bank accounts.
It's such a fraction of the cost, and you're getting 90% of the experience and enjoyment, and it's in a safe environment where you don't have to worry.
Yeah, there was some projections for the industry to do a lot more rentals, and we had gotten into motorcycle rentals quite some time ago, actually, and we thought it was going to be like gangbusters. We thought it was going to be really, really good, and turns out it wasn't as good as it should have been. But a lot of people thought that mindset would work where, okay, well, you can rent a bike for X amount of dollars for this many days, or you can buy one and then you have to store it, you have to maintain it, insure it, this and that. Your battery's going to be dead every time you want to go to ride it unless you're doing it all the time. And, intuitively, for people who want to have the riding experience, but they don't have time to do it all the time, it seemed like it was the right thing to do. And we just may have been ahead of our time with it.
It's still the art of riding a motorcycle, and then especially around here in traffic, it's still, it's not a car, right? It's not safe. Like you still have a big risk. I think that's probably the barrier, is the risk factor. Well,
we're working on our own ways of, trying to help the public reduce the risk. And what would help reduce the risk if there was 10 times more motorcycles on the road, because then people are much more aware, and people would look for motorcycles a lot and understand that
that's a really good point. Yeah. So when I lived in Italy in World Superbike, I did a ton of cycling, right? So we were right there, kind of the base of the Alps, and I rode the bicycle everywhere. And I wasn't afraid to, because the exact same thing you just said. They are used to seeing bicycles. It's part of it. They're everywhere. And so they have way less incidences.
Way more on the road, far fewer accidents.
Coming back, I can't ride on the road where I live. There's no way. Somebody's going to take me out and kill me.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So once you amplify the awareness and the amount, I think that's going to be the change. I think, and honestly, one of the things I have, like, my, put my tinfoil hat on or whatever, but I think when we're going to really see the resurgence in street riding is when you have a majority of the cars on the road are autonomous.
Possibly.
And they see, and they know what a motorcycle is, that technology's in them to not hit the motorcyclist. You'll be back into it'll make it so much safer for all the reasons people don't ride, like myself, on the road. I would ride on the road again because it'd be kind of that last vestige of freedom. It's riding a motorcycle or riding a bicycle on the road and knowing nobody's going to take you out because they're irresponsible driving.
Well, that is one of my little soapbox things that I'm trying to figure out how to get a movement, not just within motorcycling, but anybody that goes out on the road, for it's like an anti-distracted driving movement, because my car, I've got a Tesla, it's got the most advanced AI and camera system of any of the cars. So in theory, my car should not allow me to, or reduce greatly my potential for hitting anybody or things. So why can't that technology be deployed and retrofitted to all cars within 10 years or something like that, like go 10 years back? Or because that would help so much, not just with motorcycling being dangerous, but the amount of people who get hit on bicycles walking across the street, DOT workers, all that. And the technology's there. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be being used. And insurance companies should be on this boat like in a second, because I was looking at some statistics for accidents, and it's like $1.2 trillion of road accidents of all types.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one thing when somebody loses their life in an accident, roadside, whatever it is, whether they're a pedestrian or somebody else in another vehicle. But the real untold costs of it are when people are completely disabled for the rest of their lives because they were injured so terribly. And then they have to rely on their families, or they can't work anymore, you know, things like that. So there's a bunch of reasons why we should make it a lot safer for anybody on the road. And the auto manufacturing has the ways to do it. They have the technology to do it. And the government should be pushing it, because we want people to be able to go out on a street and not have to worry about being hit.
Yeah.
So I think that's
the, you know, like you said, somebody's got to pay for it, and they're not going to pay for it unless it's kind of mandated.
Yeah, but the insurance companies lose so much money in lawsuits that if they kicked in, for it. You'd think they would. Well, maybe they haven't thought about the idea because they haven't listened to my podcast yet. You heard it here first, y'all.
They don't know. Like they live in their bubble, and they don't know that this exists.
Yeah.
You know?
And it, you know, the vehicle-to-vehicle communication, like what the Teslas have. So if there's somebody, and I'm sure this is in other vehicles too, but this is what I have and this is what I know about. So if there's a Tesla 6 cars ahead of me and it hits a pothole, it tells my car, hey, there's a pothole ahead, so adjust your suspension. So when I hit it, and I've been actively thinking about this and recognizing road hazards when I'm driving. So there's a big metal plate that just got put on a road that I go on all the time. So I go over it, and I go over it when I'm the only car on the road. And then I go over it in traffic. And there's kind of a noticeable difference in how the car adjusts to it. So there's so much amazing technology in the cars that we really need to get it turned towards maximum safety for anybody out on the road. Yeah. And that paired with motorcycles being super economical transportation for all these young kids who are broke and can't afford things, it needs to kind of a common sense thing, but they grew up definitely with their parents and their grandparents saying, you're never going to ride a motorcycle because it's too dangerous. Mm-hmm. So we have to fix that by creating a better, safer environment on the road, and not just for motorcycles. Because if we took this to the government and said motorcyclists need to be safer, you need to make all these cars do this just for the tiny little percentage of motorcycles, they're going to be like, no.
It's everybody. Like you said, everybody. Because the cars hitting other cars, and it's worse than ever. Yeah. Right. And also because the cars put so much distractionary stuff in there, they kind of owe it to us. Like if you're going to give me a 2-foot screen that for me to do anything in my car, I really have to be looking over here. And then my car has, you know, sensitive steering and all this. My car should do a better job of keeping me staying in my lane. I think we're right on the fringe of it. Like it's really close. Yeah. And there was a lot of money invested in the autonomous side of it, and even seeing some stuff on the racetracks where they're trying to get the car to drive faster than the pro race car driver. Yeah. You know, that was like 10 years ago. So, well, it's coming, but the autonomous stuff is not going to take over the country, and it's not going to take over everything. I mean, we're talking decades before that would really be like all over the place. Part of it, like semi-autonomous, right? Like as a safety feature, like you're saying, where these things can avert an accident by taking over and having that part-time capability. Yeah. Not full-time. The takeovers are also scary, I know. Yeah. But as it develops and refines, it'll be better and better. If it's done for the right reason and it's, you know, controlled and contained. Yeah. That's the main thing. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing the last 2 years is I got in the security industry. So I do anything commercial, but the big thing there that I deal with is AI on the video side of stuff now, the capability of, Big Brother and how it could be used for bad, but also how it could be used for good. So I represent Bosch Video here in Georgia. And one of the cool things they came out with, talking about these kind of things that could be wrong, but could be good. They have the AI and the cameras that have now visual gun detection, where we have them implemented in some schools. So if anybody has a brandished pistol, rifle, anything, they've got it down to 99.8% accurate without the false positives and can identify a weapon.
Wow.
So there's really cool things that are happening with AI and, things that we all worried about, like, oh, Big Brother, they're looking after us, they're watching us 24/7.
And they are.
They are. I mean, they are. I mean, they're listening
no
right
doubt
now.
about that.
I mean, the phone's listening to you. There's all these things, right? But it's good people doing the right thing with it.
Right. And that is always the concern, because we know that the nefarious actors are always going to be nefarious. And it is just knowing that we're being fed the right line of truth and not a line of BS on the things that get deployed on us. And I mean, we are a product right now, and that's never going to change anymore. We are the product of everything, and that's why all these things are listening to us, so that next time you turn on your television, you're going to get the commercial that tells you that product that you didn't even know that you needed.
Yep,
but you're going to be like, wow, that's so cool.
It read my mind.
They read my mind. Did they read your mind? Or did they just tell you what to think?
Just listening.
Yeah, just listening. I think it's funny. We talk about all this stuff, and my phone's always sitting right here. And then I don't have anything in the Instagram that I use, like nothing. I have not followed anything. I haven't liked anything. I just go in and I just use it to check on other things. But I will sometimes scroll just to see what comes up. And depending on what we have talked about will be the basis of what ends up in the feed. And I think it is hilarious, because we were talking about DEF fluid, and we were talking about government regulations and how they do stupid stuff. And we were ripping on DEF fluid. I'm like, yeah, it's just pig pee and water. And one of the guests was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, it's like urea. It's they say it's a synthetic urea, but I'm sorry, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. So it's a synthesized urea. And then in my Instagram feed, there's these videos of these guys at a truck stop saying, I don't need that pig piss. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous that the feed would be pulling in a video talking about that. I
mean, that's just a case in point of how you have to, there's settings on, we don't have an Alexa or any of that stuff anymore because it's listening.
Well, I had to get a new phone.
Turn all this stuff off.
You have to, for anybody that has an iPhone,
you're consenting.
Every single app, every single one, your calculator, your weather, your notes, every app you have, everything. You have to go in it.
Nobody's telling you this, right?
Right. Nobody tells you that. And every time there's an update, there's another one, and you have to go in and turn off all the mics, because they route it through Siri. They route it through whatever you're saying, hey, Gemini, or hey, whatever. Anytime you give it access to the microphone, you are giving them access to what you're talking about. And then also the other apps will get in and snoop around and see what you've got going on. And I'm not hiding anything. I have nothing to hide. I'm very boring. I think what I look at confuses the algorithms, because they're like, is this a man? Is this a woman? It's like she's looking at power tools, but then she's looking at high heels. They don't know. So it's very confusing. I get all kinds of advertisement for all kinds of things. But I don't want them in my stuff. Just stay out of my stuff, okay? You go do your thing. I do my thing. Leave me alone. But it is a big concern, especially for us that have children that are going to be completely, because is it your own thinking, or is it what they're telling you need to think? And that is we are losing our ability to free think. Because if you keep getting bombarded with messages that some advertiser is trying to give you, do you come to that conclusion on your own, or is it just because you keep seeing it?
That's why motorcycles are so awesome, because you go out there and you have to think for yourself.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to do it for you.
No. No autonomous driving motorcycle, although they're trying to make them. But let's vote those down. Manual all the way.
Manual all the way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, this has been super awesome.
It has.
Yeah.
It's been long. I think it's probably the longest podcast I've ever done.
Is it your only one?
I usually turn them down a lot, honestly.
Well,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you for not turning this one down.
It's usually for friends.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I don't know. Some of the stuff I don't want to talk about. It's too personal.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thing. It's like my space. But we have something in common, right? And we've known each other for a long time, and we love motorcycles, and it's because of the love of our motorcycle where we are today.
Yes, indeed, for sure. And, you know, I have really enjoyed watching what you've done with yourself. I can't say I followed everything you did because, you know,
it's a long time.
It's been a long time. And, you know, for all of us that end up successful in the industry and whatever the success is for you, I think it is shared, you know. I mean, I feel very proud of what you've done, and, you know, I think that the friends that have followed me and what I've done here, it's been a success for them too, to know how hard I worked to get here. And it's not easy. No matter what you're doing, it's not easy. And I couldn't
do it. This is amazing. You know, I look at it, it's like, that's too big of a hill to climb. You know, this is a big deal.
I kept on that mountain. There was some times I was going to give up, but I kept on it because I was at that point of no return. Yep. I really was, just like where you were. It was, okay, if I am not successful in this next endeavor, what am I going to do? Because also the industry's changed a lot too. You know, and I'm not a spring chicken either. You know, I'm not going to get the same offer from a manufacturer that I would have 20 years ago, that I had plenty of, and I turned them away. You know, this was the point of no return. It was like, this is make it or break it time. And this is go big, go home, whatever. I have to succeed with this. And we have a lot of cool things planned for the future. And I just hope the industry will, you know, stabilize and increase. But it's little things like this. The podcast we just do because it's something I'd wanted to do for a long time. It's not done for any other reason other than to just bring people together that have a common interest in motorcycles, but also, you know, cars and anything on wheels, any kind of vehicles, with the hope that we get enough people outside the industry talking about it that brings in new people.
Yeah.
Because I can fish in the same little goldfish bowl that we're all in, and I'm just preaching to the choir. You know, but you're coming in, and I guarantee you the people that have watched me already or know about WOW, they don't know you at all. They don't even know racing.
Yeah.
And racing needs help too.
Racing needs huge help. I mean, we strayed way too far from the days of the riders going to the dealerships and signing autographs. And then the dealerships, even on the other end, one of the things I've noticed is like the dealerships used to go to the racetrack and used to show up and have a presence and sell stuff and have that community at the track. So we've screwed up from both ends, kind of like.
We tried. It's just they want a lot of money.
Yeah.
You have to take it, and also on the weekend. So you have to take an assortment of your bikes, go to the track, go on a Saturday where you know you're going to sell stuff at your shop, but you're going to go to somewhere where you might sell something. You pay a lot of money to have your tent, and it's a gamble. Unless you're selling food or T-shirts, for a dealership to take their staff on a Saturday, the day you pay the rent, basically, and go somewhere to speculate, it's not a winning deal.
Yeah.
It could have been, you know, it was in the past, but not now.
And it's also degrading the show a little bit, right? Because you go to the Big Kahuna or whatever, you go to Road Atlanta now, and they don't have any of that. There is no presence, you know, and the kids love that, or the younger people love that, to go see stuff. There's nothing to see other than the racing, which kind of also dilutes the racing because, you know.
Yeah, you need to go, you know, they need to have the vendor village. They need to have, it's
got to be an event.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you see where I think IMSA and Supercross and some of the other ones that are doing really well, it's an event.
Yeah.
It's not just about the racing.
I would love to go. I would love to go and support whatever's happening at Road Atlanta or Michelin Speedway or whatever it's called this year. Sorry, I can't keep up with all the racetrack name changes.
Atlanta.
Or it's always going to be Road Atlanta.
It's always Road Atlanta. It's just like, you know, Sears Point.
Yeah.
It's always going to be Sears Point. Daytona's always going to be Daytona. You don't care who the sponsor is.
Yeah. It's like the Braves Stadium. It is. I'm just calling it the Braves Stadium because I don't care what bank is taking over the sponsorship billboard. It is just the Braves Stadium. It's right down the road from us. So I would love to go and participate because I know that's where our industry came from. You know, motorcycling in America came from racing heritage. And it also came from, it was very, very needed transportation, but a bulk of it came from racing. So I would like to see it in its heyday again, and everything does run its course. So hopefully we'll see it again happen.
Yeah, everything goes in cycles. I'm sure it will.
It does for sure. Well, we'll have you back. We'll have you back in the future, and you can catch us up on everything that's been going on. And we got ideas for you.
Cool.
All right.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yes, next time. But I appreciate you coming because I know it was a bit of a drive too. So.
Nah, it's no big deal.
Yeah. I know it was a drive for y'all too, to whatever streaming service you're listening to this on. So I appreciate y'all taking the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in to Candy's World on Wheels podcast. Leave a review anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, please. And thank you. Reviews really do make a very big difference in the growth of our channel.